welcome you to Osceola County Stadium in Kissimmee, the spring training home to the Houston Astros. Today it's the home of Nationwide Conference USSSA. Here in the Hall of Fame Classic Championship game, it's Smash It Sports taking on Resmondo in the losers bracket final. It was Smash It Sports defeating Rax Easton, and they'll need to win 2 games against Resmondo if they're going to make it here in this championship game. As we welcome you to our broadcast, so glad to have you with us alongside USSSA Hall of Famer Don Cooper. I'm Bernie Gunther. Well, you take a look at this conference, 10 years in existence, and we have the 2 very best teams, especially last 4 or 5 years.
We have the last 3 major World Series, and Resmondo obviously winning all 9 of the conference championships leading into this, hoping to make it an even 10.
And you take a look at our DeMarini difference makers for today. We start with Smash It Sports, and Scott Kirby, man, can he swing his bat.
Yeah, he's turned himself into one of the prolific power hitters in the game. He also brings great leather. He's been playing first base this weekend, but over the years we've seen him in center field, shortstop, second base, turned himself into probably the premier player in softball.
And another power hitter on the Resmondo side, Greg Cannell, their second baseman. He's got tons of pop as well.
Yeah, Greg Cannell's kind of a throwback player. He is a home run first, anything else later. Absolute monster at the plate.
The top 2 teams in the conference battling for the championship today. Nationwide Conference USSSA. It's the Hall of Fame Classic Championship game coming up next on the CBS Sports Network. Back at Osceola County Stadium, let's check out the starting lineups for Smash It Sports, presented by Boomba. It's Bryson Baker, followed by Wegman, Philby, Kirby. Stephen Lloyd is the second baseman. Umshide at third. Dale Brumgard, the extra hitter. Dylan in center field. Reyna at short. Kevin Bazat, the middle infielder. And Billy Messina, the pitcher today, as they go up against Resmondo, specialty tank, and here's Andy Purcell. This is not something you see typically for Andy Purcell, the Hall of Famer. He comes out in a mask.
Yeah, it's something that we've actually talked to Andy about. You know, you'll see most of the pitchers in the conference now and across the country are wearing masks from a protection standpoint. And Andy's a throwback guy. Great play there at first base by Bubba Mack.
Wow. How about that start defensively by Bubba Mack as he lays out? You got to be quick.
And that's a perfect example right there where we talk about why a lot of us are asking, hey, when are you going to switch? And I think what he's seeing here is a little bit of fatigue late in a weekend of a dual tournament. And Andy went to it, and I commend him for it. I think it's something that he should wear, and quite frankly, I think it should almost be mandatory.
So Bryson Baker lines out, and then Brian Wegman hits the first of what could be 16 home runs here in this championship game. It's a 7-inning game, and both of these teams are classified as major, so they both have 16 home runs at their disposal.
Yeah, for those of you who joined us for the losers bracket final, that's where we played with 12. So anytime major plays major, it's 16. Major plays any other classification, it's 12.
That one off the light pole in left field. That one had a lot more to carry. Kevin Philby at the plate. The catcher for Smash It. He's looking for the second home run of the contest. And there's no doubt about that one as it leaves the ballpark.
And even though there is a limit of home runs here, what we're looking at is in a baseball stadium, under these conditions, they typically won't monitor home runs. If they really start flying, they may discuss it around 10 or 12 to start talking about maybe saving a couple. But typically when you're playing major here, you just free swing.
Scott Kirby out to right field, and it's tracked down by Jeremy Eisenhower for the second out. This is a 7-inning game. How many runs per inning are you looking at strategy-wise, Coop, to try to score? Because this is a game where you're going to see a lot of runs.
Yeah, most of them. We may even hear our on-field mics pick it up. You'll hear guys yell 5, 5, 5. Most teams target 5 runs an inning in a stadium. If you can get yourself into that 28 to 35 range, you're going to win 80, 90% of the games. Pretty rare does somebody come and get you if you're up there.
Steve Lloyd. Nice job there by DiDonatis of stopping that one from going to the outfield, but he does not come up and make a throw. As we check out the defense today for Resmondo, brought to you by Boomba. It's Collins in left, Santana in center. In right field, it's Eisenhower. Infield, Salas, DiDonatis, Cannell, and Bubba Mack. The catcher, B.J. Folk, and the Hall of Famer, Dennis Ruley, will patrol the middle infielder. 5 infielders you'll see, and right now Resmondo has them spread to the left side against Mike Umscheid, and that's one of the differences. If you watch a lot of rec softball, a lot of times they use that extra player. This one's going to be just foul down the line. A lot of times, Coop, they use that extra player on the weekend in rec ball to put the extra outfielder, but here they have so much speed in the outfield, they like to use it on the infield.
Yeah, it's the speed in the outfield definitely helps you, but what it does is if you look at this field, and if you have a 4th outfielder, the middle just becomes so open. There's so many gaps to hit. And when you're playing on 300-foot parks, you just can't afford to give up that much infield. The hitters are too good. So the compromise is we would rather make you try to go over us and find a gap than be able to just roll one through the infield.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There is no foul ball that is allowed after you have 2 strikes, and so here the 3-2 pitch will get a result, and you see Mike Umscheid down on strikes. It's rare to see that in slow pitch softball, but Umscheid thought that he would walk. Instead, he's headed back to the dugout, and the top of the first has come to its conclusion. Resmondo at the plate when we come back. Bottom of the first, check out the starters for Resmondo, presented by Boomba. Dennis Ruley leads things off, followed by Greg Cannell, Andy Purcell, the pitcher, hitting 3rd, Jimmy Salas, the cleanup hitter, followed by Bubba Mack, who led the conference in home runs. And it's B.J. Folk, Lee Powers, Don DiDonatis III, Andrew Collins, Jeremy Eisenhower, and Nick Santana. And the pitcher today for Smash It, Billy Messina, the veteran. He's still playing the game, over 50 years old.
Yeah, he obviously is expected to be here as their head coach, but they had an injury over the weekend and lost their young star pitcher, Travis Clark. He's down and out, hopefully for a short period of time, but it's great to have a Hall of Fame coach who can roll. That was a Hall of Fame pitcher that can roll out there and try to carry you through the tail end of a long weekend.
Both these teams have really explosive bats. We're likely to see a lot of home runs here in this championship game. But one of the best players at just getting on board leads things off, and Dennis Ruley this time hits it to Luis Reyna, and that's a mistake at first. 90% of the time, Scott Kirby is going to pick that ball up, but he did not here. As we check out the defense for Smash It, looks this way. Wegman in left, Dillon in center field, Baker in right field. At 3rd, it's Mike Umscheid. Reyna, the shortstop, Lloyd at 2nd, Kirby at 1st, Philby behind home plate, and Kevin Bazat is the extra infielder. And we'll see if Resmondo can make them pay. As you see Greg Cannell right away take the first pitch down the line for a double. And a big difference having Ruley out for out number 1, and now he stands at 3rd because of the air on the first baseman.
Yeah, like at any level of sports, you can't give them extra at bats. We see that at fast pitch, at travel ball, wherever. The extra outs always seem like they come back to haunt you.
Here's the co-MVP of the conference in the Men's Major World Series last year, Andy Purcell, and he finds the gap, and he's going to bring Resmondo their first 2 runs as they tie the ball game with a 2 RBI double. So because of the air on the infield, the first 3 for Resmondo reach. And if Billy Messina here pitching in his 2nd game of the day is going to have an opportunity to keep smashing right with Resmondo, he's going to need some help defensively.
Yeah, they just can't afford that, especially at the top of the order like that. It gives them a little bit of emotion. And And this lineup, obviously, it's turned over a little bit over the last couple of years, but it's still veteran-laden, highly talented, and at the end of the day, they're still the defending champs.
Just missed short, and Salas is aboard via the walk. So runners on first and second, and that'll bring Bubba Mack to the plate. He was the home run champion in the conference last year.
I think it's great when you see him. He just has such great hands, because when you go stand next to Bubba, not that he's a small man, Bernie, but when you stand next to the rest of his teammate, you know, he would not pick him out to be the home run leader.
102 home runs, but on this swing, comes up well short. Dillon will make the play for the first out. Salas moves up to second, Andy Purcell to third. That's a big first out recorded by Billy Messina, getting the home run champ from a season ago.
Yeah, out early. They're playing now. Again, what Resmondo's searching for is 3 more runs or get on their 5 and starting to see some separation.
B.J. Falk
finds the bag.
Fair ball down the line. Resmondo's going to tack on 2 more. Purcell and Jimmy Salas both in to score. And B.J. Falk moves to second. This is the Hall of Fame Classic, and the USSSA National Hall of Fame just down the line as we take another look. At the double, and Lee Powers comes to the plate. His father was a USSSA Hall of Famer,
and his uncle will be,
and he's likely to maybe be one as well.
We've talked about this in the past broadcast. That's probably the royal family there of softball, the Powers family and the Nevitt families. You know, two of the most prestigious families to ever come through the game, and his daddy and his uncle are as good of players that have ever played this game.
What did his dad teach him that you can see in that swing?
Well, they actually kind of have similar swings. I mean, and I'll tell you the one thing he taught him, if you go spend some time with him, Bernie, is humility. He is one of the most humble young men you'll meet, just like his dad and his uncle were. They just played the game and had utmost respect for everyone around them.
Here's Don DiDonatis, the third.
And unfortunately, you know, the other one of those is the Nevitt family with all the boys that are up and playing, and we lost Dwayne Nevitt a few weeks ago, and I'm sure his family will be watching, and it was a loss to all of us. What a great player and Hall of Famer that Dewey was, and taught me a lot, and just a great player. And I know the Powers family and the Nevitt family were very close, and our thoughts go out to them.
It's a 4-run Resmondo lead, and we're only in the bottom of the first. Andrew Collins, their young pickup, now coming to the plate. On base percentage last year, .707. And that's what it takes to be one of the top members in the conference, a 700 average or better. Collins to Rainier. They go to second and get 1. Back to first, and that is an inning-ending double play. 6-4-3. Billy Messina gets a little help defensively as he gets out of the first inning. It started with the Conference Defensive Player of the Year, and Smashit gets out of the first, down just 4 runs. Back for the top of the second. Let's check in with the third member of our team now, down on the field, Kristen Bedard.
Well, Bernie, the Hall of Fame Classic gets its name from many things, but one of the reasons is the chance to see all of the Hall of Famers on this field. Right now, there are 7 of them. A manager, John Rector for Resmondo, the home plate umpire, Mr. Doc Beckwell, and 5 players, Andy Purcell, Dennis Rulli, Howie Krause from Resmondo, and for Smash It Sports, Brett Helmer and Billy Messina. But Bernie, there will be one more player added to that list at the USSSA National Convention. Bryson Baker will be inducted later this year.
Well, we have a Hall of Famer in the booth as well, Don Cooper with us, and it's one of the special things about this tournament. It's really a great setup for, this is the 10th season of Nationwide Conference USSSA, and it isn't just a pickup tournament that these teams elected to come down to Orlando. This same group of teams is going to battle all the way from now to the Men's Major World Series, and we'll have the championship game for you on CBS Sports Network in September as we see Dale Brumgard start off the second inning with a solo home run, the third home run hit by Smash It, and all three have been solo shots.
Yeah, we have 35, I think 35 teams down here, and obviously not all of them are going to make it to the Men's Major World Series. We'll have 16 teams earn in by points. Then we will have an all-military team that I think was an awesome addition a couple seasons ago, that we get to have an all-military team represented in the finals. And then there will be an at-large berth granted to the winner of the non-qualifying teams over Labor Day weekend here at this park. So it's like you said, it's an all summer long quest to be one of those 18 teams, and it's quite an honor just to get to that.
Brandon Dillon at the plate, the center fielder. He takes a called strike.
And for all the folks that are in the Hall of Fame, it's such an honor to be here. And the Hall of Fame is on site here, Bernie. It's a wonderful facility that was built here in Osceola County Stadium, and so it's always a privilege to come back here and walk through there. And every time I'm here, I take a second and walk through there. And if anyone's in the area, when they're down here, I hope they do come by. It's a wonderful facility that's been built here.
Dillon draws a walk, and so the first two reach for Smash It Sports. Luis Reina.
Come on, Lulu, let's go.
Is the batter. He very well may be a future Hall of Famer the way that he has played defense since he's been inserted into Nationwide Conference USSSA.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the future of, as all of us old guys have gone away, that we're looking at the futures coming up with the young man Santana in center field, and Reina and Dillon, and there's just a lot of the future is in this tournament this weekend, not just these two games, but throughout. And the parity, Bernie, we talked about this last year. I made the prediction, everybody thought I'd lost my mind, and I said it wouldn't be Resmondo, Laser Vision at the time, which is now Smash It Sports with a sponsorship change, that they would be.
How about this? Luis Reina, a little dose of his own medicine. Normally he's the one turning two. Instead, he grounds into a double play, and it all started with the glove by Jimmy Salas at third.
Great play. I said at the beginning of the broadcast last year, this time that I didn't think it would be. I thought there'd be a change, and we saw that. We saw shot play Resmondo in the finals. The first part of the duel down here, we did see Smash It play team combat. We've seen different finals at the Houston and in Vegas. I really think this is the year that, and you've seen that with the games that were played all weekend long here, Bernie, there may be two teams playing in the final that doesn't include any of the 4 or 5 teams that people seem to want to talk about all the time.
Opposite field, base hit for Kevin Bazat. And that's a big hit because it puts Billy Messina to the plate here in the bottom of the second inning. He is certainly a big member of this team, a great inspiration as you take a look at the hit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Billy brings you is, obviously he's their coach, their leader now. Billy's offense is obviously tailored off a lot in his later careers. And what you're doing here by, if Billy gets a hit here, you roll it to Bees, which is great. But what you're also doing is you're clearing him out of the lineup, and it's nothing to insult Billy. He would tell you that if he was coaching right now, is that you want him leading off an inning, and that's a big at bat by Bays. That puts actually a lot of pressure on him to keep rolling the lineup over to him.
Smash It, though, really would like to tack on a couple more runs. They trail by 3. They're scoring 2 in the first, 1 in the second.
Look at
There's
that.
Messina with a base hit. And he brings Smash It back to their big hitters and back to the top of the lineup. Runners on the corners.
And that can play both ways, Bertie. Resmondo's going, okay, this is an out. Let's go hit. Now this can also play both ways, and you can see this really fuel them. If he continues to do that, he chips in 2 or 3 hits here, and all of a sudden this game's going to get a little bit closer. Smash It's obviously played a couple more games in the losers bracket. They're a little bit more tired. Resmondo took the natural route here, stayed as the undefeated team, but that could be a big emotional lift if Billy could chip in a couple hits.
Messina with his first hit today, and that brings us back to Bryson Baker, who lined out in his first plate appearance. Takes a called strike. It's 2-2.
Like all great hitters, they've never had a strike thrown to them, in their opinion. That had to be a ball because he didn't swing.
The Hall of Famer Chuck Doc Beckwell behind home plate, leading the umpiring crew, and Baker drives this one deep back and gone. And look at this little 2-out rally for Smash It Sports. Baker able to tie the ball game here in the top of the second.
And that's a case where you put all 3 of those runs in the tally of Billy Messina right there. That hit got him there. So Bryson Baker did what he was supposed to do, but Billy Messina really stirred that drink.
Smash It Sports has hit 4 home runs. They're allowed 16 home runs here in this championship game. So they have plenty left. Again, playing the same dimensions as they did 2 weeks ago during spring training where the Houston Astros played in this ballpark.
Yeah, beautiful facility. And that's one of the reasons we come down here. You know, probably the only knock on it is it's not a location where we'll see some good crowds like we would at a traditional, softball venue, of the Smoky Mountain Classics or the Dudley or so forth. So, that's the one drawback. But the win is, man, what a wonderful facility for these athletes to play in. And what a wonderful and great opportunities to walk out on the backfield and you see minor league games going on back there. And one of the coaches for the Houston Astros, Marty Malloy, used to play in the conference, and he's actually coaching back there now. So it's fun. He brought a bunch of his young hitters out to watch one of our games Friday. So it's just a great experience down here.
This is one of the reasons why you want to wear protective gear. Look at how close that came to his head.
Yeah. Again, we've talked about here, this is one of the few places that we play with a mound behind the pitcher because spring training just ended and they're still playing some games on this field. When we come back here and broadcast at the tail end of the season at the conference championships, that mound will be cut down.
Here's Scott Kirby at the plate. He draws a walk and that loads the bases. An incredible 2-out rally for Smash It Sports. It looked for a moment like it might be 6-3, 6-4 headed into the bottom of the second inning. Instead, here's Stephen Lloyd at the plate with the bases loaded. And Smash It looks for their second lead of the contest. Called strike. And so Lloyd, if he hits it, has to hit it into fair territory. Full count. And he missed that one. But this one might fall in the gap. Long run for Collins, but he comes in and he makes the air. And here's the throw to the plate, and all 3 will score for Smash It Sports on what should have been the final out of the second inning.
This inning would not, this last 2 full innings not going to be Andrew Collins' favorite moments. He grounded it into a double play ending the first inning and comes in here and he took his eye out the ball. I'm not sure exactly what he was doing because it was the 3rd out of the inning, almost like he was looking down to see if he was going to throw out a runner. He's an outstanding defensive outfielder. That's not something he expects to do. It's probably the only time he'll do it all year long.
And what looked like it was going to be a quick inning has now been an inning where Smash It has batted all the way around. They've scored 7 runs, and Mike Umshide trying to continue the top of the second inning. And he draws a walk. These 2 teams, there's no love lost between the 2. It's often like the Yankees and the Red Sox, if you will, in Major League Baseball.
That's exactly what this is. And that's a great analogy because most of the folks in the Resmondo dugout are Yankees fans too. So that's a great analogy of what you're dealing with here. And from how the teams are organized and put together to everything, that's exactly what it is.
Dale Brumgard at the plate. He's looking for his second home run of the contest, and there's no doubt about that one.
3-run home run, his second home run of the game.
A 3-run shot.
Now center fielder Brandon Dillon.
Again, there's a mistake by Collins in left field for sure, but get all the way back to Billy Messina getting a 2-out chip.
And as we take a look at our worth legit stat of the game, last game against Rax Easton, they hit 10 home runs. Today, against the Hall of Fame pitcher, Andy Purcell, they already have 5 home runs, and We're only in the top of the second inning.
Yeah, well, part of it is they probably swung a little bit more for it here again, by picking up the fact that they get 16.
Grounded to Salas, over to first, and Bubba Mack able to dig it out. But what an inning it was for Smash It Sports. They scored 10 runs. They lead by 6 as we head to the bottom of the second here in Nationwide Conference USSSA on CBS Sports Network.
Nationwide Conference USSSA on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Nationwide. On your side. Boomba, official footwear supplier of USSSA. And by Louisville Slugger. Advance your game with the all-new Z4000.
There's a look at some of the great players in conference history and slow pitch history of USSSA, who started as a slow pitch only association, and so many great players over the year have played in this game, have played in the Men's Major World Series. And the exciting thing about the conference, who now is celebrating its 10th season in existence, as you see Jeremy Eisenhower come to the plate, is it's a conference that's expanded from just a handful of teams to 40-plus teams that compete all summer long. As Eisenhower hits this one long enough for a solo home run. Just the second home run of the contest for Resmondo.
Yeah, I believe the first year of the conference there was 16 teams. I may be off on my history, but I believe it was 16 teams to what we have now, and it's pretty amazing growth and processes that's gone on to get it there. And obviously, it's interesting. There was discussion, year 2 or year 3 of, someday we'd like to be on CBS, or someday we're going to do this, and here we are.
Nick Santana to left, and how about the legs by Brian Wegman, who tracks it down for out number 1. Go back to the top of the lineup, and Dennis Ruley. He is in that National Hall of Fame.
And him and the pitcher, Billy Messina, are BP partners. They're both from Simi Valley, California, and have been playing with or against each other for 30 years.
Ruley to left, and it falls in front of Wegman. Yeah, Ruley's one of those players that's played on both the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yeah, and a couple other teams in between. He's been everywhere, and he's a winner. It's what you can say about him. He knows how to play the game, and he's a winner. And
here's the Offensive Player of the Year at the Men's Major World Series last year. He's been named Conference MVP once. He's won 6 Men's Major World Series championship, and he's played in the conference all 10 years. He mishit that one, but it's still a towering shot, and it does carry out. How about that?
Yeah, he missed it. He missed it about 415 feet. We were talking about him in the pregame. He's a throwback guy. He's a guy that could have played in any era. He has never-ending power. Technology surely has helped him, but he's a guy that can pick up a broomstick and hit.
And despite the power, it looked like he still was just under it.
Oh, he missed it. There's no doubt about it. That's why I say that's what separates the men from the boys a little bit there. We can talk all you want about technology, but Connie's got that amazing bat speed and leverage.
Third home run of the contest for Resmondo. Both the teams are allotted 16 home runs. On the 17th, it would be an out. Here's Andy Purcell into left, and on the run, Wegman can't track it down. Andy Purcell will trot into second.
And that's the biggest change in Andy's game over the last 5 to 6 years. Is he used to be a good hitter, and I think Andy, which is interesting that a lot of times you don't see guys later in their career, you see him taking a swing here, become that much better. And Andy went from what I would consider a good hitter to a absolute great hitter, one of the best hitters in the game, and that's a case of just a lot of hard work.
Jimmy Salas at the plate. Walked and scored in his first plate appearance. Resmondo trailing by 3 here in the bottom of the second inning. Full count now. Salas is going to walk for the second time in the contest.
And now the batter for first baseman, Bubba.
You have to imagine when you look at the bats that both these teams bring to the table, how difficult it must be for an opposing pitcher to even think about recording it out. These are teams that are loaded with players that get on base 700-800% of the time.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing now out of the top. You know, not only these two teams, which are, you know, the elite of the elite, but out of the top 8 or 9 teams. That's why when you make a mistake like that right there, it kills you. You know, and Mike Humshed's an outstanding defensive player all over the field. But when you think about it, Bernie, and you get 72, 73, 74% of the time these hitters are on, you may now go 5 or 6 batters before you get a chance to make an out again, like we saw in that last inning where you make one mistake and how quick it can get out of control.
B.J. Folk, the batter. He can give Resmondo the lead with one swing of the bat. Doubled in his first plate appearance. And this one back deep and caught by Baker at the warning track. Andy Purcell will come in to score. And it's a 2-run contest.
Purcell comes in to score. And now the additional hitter, Lee Powers.
It's a windy day here. And that's one of the positives about being in that left side batter's box, especially at the end of the year. Champion Stadium, the spring training home of the Atlanta Braves, is the site of the Men's Major World Series, and you get a little bit of an advantage on that side.
Yeah, it definitely plays shorter in here. It's actually it's the opposite, as most everybody says here. This right field plays a little bit bigger. You know, the wind is normally cutting a little bit, where everybody agrees that Disney plays a little shorter to right field.
Here's Don DiDonatis.
And that might have been a little bit of a strategic walk there. You know, Don DiDonatis Jr., the third actually, you know, is a great hitter, but he's not a power hitter, not in a stadium where, you know, Mr. Powers is. So I think this was a little bit of, I'll pick my poison here.
DiDonatis finds a gap, and he's going to tie the ball game. Hustling into second, trying to run for every base. You got to like that hustle, as DiDonatis is aboard for the second time in the contest.
And that's what you get out of a great veteran there. He knew what happened there. Hey, I'm not going to let, they weren't going to let Powers, you know, get him with one swing. So what does he do? He doesn't change his swing. He doesn't get, you know, sucked into the trap. He just goes with his swing, picks his hole, drives it through there, takes the extra base, accomplishes the same thing.
Andrew Collins grounded into a double play his last time up, and then an error in left field helped smash it to a 10-run second inning. He watches the first 2 pitches here. First base is open, and they'll give it to him. Not saying that they were trying to pitch around him.
No, definitely not there. Not to get to Izzy, who's already left the yard once, and even though it does play a little bit bigger that way, Izzy can get up out of here anywhere.
Here's Jeremy Eisenhower, the 4th walk by Billy Messina. And finally, Messina gets a called strike. Laced down the line, fair ball. Powers, DiDonatis, and Eisenhower in to score. And it's 15-12. Base clearing triple.
And and you can see they're actually playing off the line, as you've talked about, Bernie. A foul ball there is an out. So that's a gutsy swing right there to try to paint the line on that. As if he hits that foul ball, he's out. And that's why you saw the right fielder so far shifted over and everyone off the lines.
So another big 2-out rally. That's been really the story of these games. And Smash It about to answer back after Resmondo about to answer back after Smash It scored 10 runs in the first. Lloyd, though, is going to end the inning. Nice snag there by Kirby to keep it from getting away from him. But 9 added by Resmondo, and they're up 15-12 here in the championship game.
Welcome back to Osceola County Stadium. According to the Nationwide Conference USSSA rules and regulations, any player is allowed to wear protective gear, but typically it is only seen on pitchers. They wear masks and shin guards. But for Andy Purcell, historically, he has chosen not to wear a mask. When I asked him about the change in his attire, he said it just feels like the balls are coming at you extremely fast this year. And when his teammates asked him to put it on, he agreed with them. It was for a safety purpose. I asked him if it's affecting his game at all. He said it's a little different, but it's not making too much of a difference. Bernie, remember, they're only 50 feet away, and these balls are coming back at 100+ miles per hour.
And that's the big difference, Coop. You think about baseball, it comes in 90+ miles an hour, but these players still have the torque, the power to really send it back
absolutely
quick as well.
Absolutely, and especially here, we actually play a little different ball here than we play anywhere else. It's called a Stadium ZN, and it's definitely a little bit harder ball. Again, you're playing in big parks under high humidity and high heat. So, you know, this isn't the ball we play with on a 300-foot park. So I understand what Andy's doing, and I think he's making the right move. And I've been on record for a couple of years, Bernie, with you saying, I wish we would just mandate it and say you're going to wear protection if you are the pitcher.
Kevin Bazat at the plate. Saw a lot of offense in the last inning. 26 batters, 19 runs, 5 home runs, 12 hits. Pitchers trying to make the third be a little bit quicker. And that's an easy swing for a single into center. And it'll put runners at the corners, and we'll see if Billy Messina can do it again. Ball scrambling away, and Braina will come in to score and make it 15-13.
It's heads up right there, just heads up.
Billy Messina.
Nice swing there, and a lot of hustle on the base pass by Smash It's shortstop. You saw the deflection off the glove of Greg Cannell. Didn't waste any time, and here's Billy Messina lifting it out to left. And that'll be recorded as the first out here in the third inning.
And that's not a bad idea by Billy. He reared back there and said, hey, I don't know if I can still hit one out here, but I might as well try. You can see Weg shaking his head at him. Keeps him out of the double play possibility there. That's not a bad idea on Billy's part.
Bryson Baker is the batter here. He homered an inning ago, and looking to homer here. Andrew Collins backpedaling at the wall, and no chance to make a play. Bryson Baker hits a home run in back-to-back innings.
And now the batter, Brian Weichman.
Bryson Baker with some solid contact there, has Smash It now with 6 home runs in the contest. Wegman has reached twice, looking for his second home run. If it stays fair, it's gone, but it just turns foul at the last moment.
Bounced it off the Astros spring training corporate headquarters over there.
He's got the power to hit it over a building, that's for sure.
He does have that.
You'll see these same athletes at the Men's Major World Series during the game and in the Home Run Derby hit it over the scoreboard at the spring training home of the Atlanta Braves. That is quite a shot.
Yeah, that's a impressive place to play, and it's got some good backdrops and good scenery to hit into. The guys really enjoy hitting there.
Wegman is aboard for the third time.
For number 30, the lefty Kevin Philby.
15-15 score. The big trouble for Smash It Sports is after they scored 10 runs in the top of the second, Resmondo answered back with 9.
Yeah, both offenses were aided a little bit by some shaky defense, and with these offenses, like you said, with most of the roster reaching base at a 700 to 800 clip, you just can't afford to do that.
Kevin Philby going for his second home run of the game, but he lifts this one up, and a long run for Eisenhower comes in and makes the play for the second out. That's a big out getting Kevin Philby.
Yeah, they're just looking for one cheap inning to get out of here and see if they can't get a little bit of separation. The issue is for Andy, there's no rest for the wicked here. You know, you think, oh, I got Philby to pop up, and then, you know, here steps Kirby.
The batter is Kirby, and he lines it into center. No play for Santana. Here comes the throw in, but they'll cut it off, and Wegman will help Smash It Sports produce their 4th run here in the inning. They're back on top. Here's Stephen Lloyd trying to poke it into right field. Can Eisenhower make a play? It'll fall just in front of him.
That's crafty hitting right there.
Early we saw Smash It do it with a home run, but here in the 3rd inning, they're doing a nice combination of a couple of home runs, but just some easy swinging singles.
Nicely done.
And that'll bring Mike Umshide to the plate. Smash It still with 10 home runs remaining in the contest. They're allotted 16 total home runs, and Resmondo still left with 13. Umshide takes the first pitch deep. A rare strikeout in the game of slow pitch softball. What do you think he learned from that at bat?
Don't take the 3rd strike.
Well, it's going to be down to that same situation.
We'll see
here.
right now. We'll see if he learned from that.
3-2.
Oh.
And this time he'll take a walk.
Umshide walks to load the bases now for Dale Brungard. Brungard 2 for 2 in the game with 2 home runs.
That's the 5th walk in the contest for Andy Purcell. And now he has to face Dale Brumgard, who has 2 home runs so far in this contest. Not going to be 3.
Jimmy's fighting some sun there. Nice play.
He hauls it in, ends the inning. 4 tacked on by Smash It Sports. They're up by a run as we head to the bottom of the 3rd here.
Leading things off, a member of the Hall of Fame, Dennis Ruley.
Smash It Sports so far, look at since their loss 24-8 to Resmondo against Rax Easton. 27 runs, 29 hits, 10 home runs. Today, they've doubled up their score from the winner's bracket final. They scored just 8 in that contest. They've already scored 16, and they lead by a run here in the bottom of the 3rd. It's the top of the lineup for Resmondo. Dennis Ruley, Greg Cannell, and Andy Purcell against Billy Messina. And Messina so far has done a pretty decent job of keeping this Resmondo team off balance as Ryan Wegman just out of his reach. And Ruley hits just the 4th home run of the contest for Resmondo.
That's not Ruley's normal game, but he still has it in the bag.
So we're tied at 16 apiece here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Greg Cannell at the plate. His 3 balls and a strike. And Cannell lines this one foul, so the count is full. Another good day at the office for Greg Cannell. 9 times he's been named all conference every season the conference has been played, and that's one of the reasons why. He knows how to launch it.
He does. He's an absolute complete hitter. When he first came up, too, the knock on him was he was going to be a young DH, and he's put that to rest. He's really developed into an outstanding second baseman, very good glove, become rangy.
Back-to-back solo home runs. And here's the pitcher, Andy Purcell, looking maybe for 3 in a row, but instead this one holds up, and Wegman has it for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 3rd.
And now number 24, Jimmy Salas.
Jimmy Salas, another one of those players that has played in the conference all 10 years. He's been named a conference MVP, a defensive MVP. He's won 3 men's major World Series championships. And so far today, he hasn't got to swing his bat because he's walked twice. This one hold up enough for Wegman to make a play, and he does. Brian Wegman holds it in left field, robbing Jimmy Salas of a home run. Look at this.
Outstanding play by Big B.
Salas knows he just missed it. So after 2 solo home runs that gave Resmondo a 1-run lead, back-to-back flyouts, and here's Bubba Mack going Wegman's way. They're all going to left, but this one is not playable.
Brian's not bringing that one back.
So it's the 3rd home run of the inning for Resmondo, and now they have hit the same as Smash It Sports. Both teams with 6 home runs of the 16 that they're allotted. BJ Falk is the batter. Doubled and scored in his first plate appearance. Again, this is 7-inning game, so there's plenty of home runs left for both these teams. And BJ Falk says, why not try to add another?
And the wind's going to get him, though.
And it holds up. Bryson Baker hauls it in, but Resmondo tacks on 3 more with 3 home runs. They're up by 2 as we go to the 4th. Well, one of the big differences in Nationwide Conference USSSA opposed to a rec slow pitch game that you may see on the weekends is all the bats tested at the beginning of the tournament. They're placed in a barrel. You're looking at a compression setting of 220 pounds or more to make it a legal bat. And at the beginning of the tournament, they get tested. They were tested again this morning prior to the championship games. And it's a good way to even the playing field in a race where technology has really taken over bat-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. They test them, like you said, before the tournament, and they'll do some random bat testing during the tournament as well. You are allowed, if a bat breaks, to swap one out, but you're allowed a maximum of 20 bats in the bucket at one time. And it's made sure that it kind of took all of that, this, that, and the other thing out of the game and got back to, playing softball. Now, and we're seeing it now over to the women's conference. We're seeing it in league, so it's definitely something where sometimes the rules have to catch up to technology.
Rain at the plate. Takes a called strike. Grounded into a double play in his first plate appearance, but he singled and scored in the 3rd. Smash It Sports, the visitor today, trailing by 2.
Get over there. Get over there, baby. Nice and smooth.
Obviously, with Resmondo getting the last at bat, they need to start building a lead into the bottom of the inning. So, of course, when it's the 7th inning, you're trying to look for maybe what would be a comfortable lead, 5, 6 runs?
10, 12. I mean, really, I mean, with these two offenses, we've seen that. It's funny how, you'll see, 2 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, and all of a sudden they have to have an inning and someone throws 9 or 10 up. So you're never completely comfortable, but you typically would think that anything that's around a double-digit lead, you sure would hope you can hold it.
18-17 after the RBI double by Reyna, and here is Kevin Bazat. He's reached base twice. Bottom of the lineup has been a lot more productive than maybe we expected coming in for Smash It Sports.
Well, this is when they're the best. When Bazat is hitting and their bottom end is hitting like this, that they became a very, very, very tough out. They're a very tough team to beat because he brings you so much defensively that a lot of times, you may give up 50 points that you could go find somewhere else, but he takes 50, 100 points away from the other team with his amazing glove. And again, he's still a young player. He's still developing his offensive skills, and this, he hasn't found his ceiling by any sense yet.
And here's Billy Messina, who's taken the place of Travis Clark, their injured starter, and he grounds it to DiDonatis, and it gets under his glove. And Messina is aboard for the 2nd time in the contest.
And that's something you rarely ever see, especially with DiDonatis, and especially with him knowing he doesn't have to rush himself right there. That's just not something you'll see. You may not see that again all season.
Just picked his glove up first.
One of the surest-handed shortstops to ever play the game.
Back to the top of the lineup, and Bryson Baker with that extra out makes him pay. And look at this. Smash It Sports up by 3. It's the 3rd straight home run for Bryson Baker. He's having a heck of a day at the ballpark. And here's Brian Wegman, who's gotten aboard every time. And that one just in front of Andrew Collins, who tried to make a diving stab at it out and left.
Wegman with a drive, and now Kevin Philby.
Hasn't been Andrew Collins' day, but tried to make the effort here after his error. 7 runs came in to score, and that's a big reason why Smash It Sports is right in the heart of this contest.
Yeah, with 8, I think they have 8 unearned runs right now. That's a tough thing to overcome. The advantage is that if Resmondo can get out of here relatively cheap.
Popped up, and Collins with a diving effort again, but he can't come up with it, and Philby on his way to second, back-to-back doubles.
Philby with a drive to left center. Runners on 2nd and 3rd for number 10.
Collins trying to make this spectacular play here.
You can't fault him for effort. Obviously, you have a big power-hitting lefty, so Santana, your rangy center fielder, is shaded far into the right center field gap.
And his head really hit the turf as he came down. But it appears no issues as Scott Kirby coming to the plate. Sent it out towards Collins again. And this time Collins is able to make the play. But Wegman will come in to score and give Smash It Sports a 4-run advantage.
Wegman comes in to score. And now number 1.
And we can see also the wind out there blowing as you see Collins' jersey. We've got a pretty good cross breeze, much more than we had in the earlier games today, and it's probably playing a little bit of havoc on him.
Stephen Lloyd is the batter. Lloyd has been aboard all 3 times and scoots that one right in between DiDonatis and Rulli.
That's just great hitting. As we saw earlier, his last at bat, he took an outside pitch and kind of flicked it into right field, knowing that he could. And he picked a gap out there and just went at it. There's, we got guys up there swinging away, smashing balls. And this is just a nice piece of hitting. He sees that hole the whole time and almost steers it into it.
Mike Umscheid is the batter. He's walked twice. And he struck out looking at strike 3 in his first plate appearance, and he puts this one into play. Past DiDonatis, out to left. That's what speed does for you. Not even any doubt that Boyd would score on that single. And Mike Umscheid gets credited with an RBI. Even with 3 defenders on that left side. And now the Hall of Fame manager, John Rector, out for a conference with his entire infield, maybe just trying to slow things down.
Yeah, that's all this is. You make sure that Andy just settles down. Andy's got thrown a couple of great pitches here. He should have at least 1 more out, maybe 2 more outs. But it's just a fact to slow it down a little bit, see if you can get the offense out of its rhythm. And there's no reason why this should work, but it's amazing how many times it works. You walk back in the dugout and the next guy pops it up. It's just one of those things. And you can see Doc Beckwell letting him know that's 1 trip, and just like in Major League Baseball, you're allowed 1 trip out, and the next time if Rector was to go back to the mound, he would have to remove Andy from the pitching mound for the rest of the game in this inning.
But especially in slow pitch, that's not a very likely scenario. Andy Purcell, a pitcher that if you watch the weekend, there's 144 games in this tournament. And if you watch Resmondo play in the tournament, the majority of the time you see Andy out there pitching in every game. As you see, obviously it does work. Dale Brumgard, nothing but home runs his first 2 at-bats, and Ruley makes the play for out number 2.
The old timeout bug. I mean, it bites. I don't know. We've still never forget it. Why? No, it's obviously you're not on a pitch count here. It's not like something else. Now you see a lot of teams that will run 2 pitchers to keep them fresh, keep their legs under them. Andy's definitely one of the teams that will try to ride him the whole way, and actually so is Laser Vision, where they will ride Travis Clark. You look at some of the other the other major teams. Combat Shop, those guys, most of them are running a 2-pitcher rotation. They're riding 2 different guys.
Dillon at the plate.
But as we saw with the unfortunate injury last night to Travis, you better have a second one with you. You're especially in these long tournaments that you definitely can't travel with just one guy that wants to take the mound.
Three, 2. And Dillon does draw the walk.
To bring up Luis Reyna.
That'll bring Reyna to the plate. Certainly a huge glove back in the lineup for the Smash It team after a major injury last year at the Men's Major World Series. And after that injury last September, he's really found his groove quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's back this quick. And you can see, like I say, a little limp in his get along still, but he's definitely, I'd say, 85–90%, and it's great for the game to have him back.
And after he grounded into a double play in his first at-bat, he's reached base in his last 2, singled and scored in the 3rd. He doubled and scored in the 4th. Purcell trying to get out of this inning. Not on that pitch. It's 2-2. Full count. A 2 for 3 day for Reyna. And he's going to add to his total. Collins on the run. No chance to get it. It's off the wall. 2 more come in for Smash It. And look at this. They're up 26-18.
Now back to the boxes, Kevin Bazan.
another gigantic inning, the second 10-run inning of the contest for Smash It Sports.
And both of them aided by a defensive miscue.
And here at the spring training home of the Houston Astros, not quite like if you went to the Major League field. They can't fit 10 on the scoreboard here. So it goes to zeros.
Beautiful facility. I think it's the new board out there after the old one was hit by lightning a couple seasons ago.
A tremendous facility, and certainly the Astros, a young team that are on the move. Osceola County Stadium here in Kissimmee. It's at a nationwide conference USSSA, the championship game for the Hall of Fame Classic. And Andy Purcell with his 7th walk of the contest is going to bring Billy Messina to the plate. He's looking for another big swing.
This would be huge if he reaches.
Grounded the first pitch foul.
Bryson Baker's in the middle of, I believe, 3 home runs in a row stretch, so to get Bryson in the box right now would be huge.
The top of the lineup, and all those big bats due up next. But he has to straighten out this pitch with a 1-2 count. And he does. Out to left field, and it falls in front of Andrew Collins. A huge swing there by Billy Messina, driving in the 11th run of the inning.
Baker 3 for 4 in the game with 3 home runs. Comes
Back to the top, and Bryson Baker, he's got 3 home runs in a line out, so he's hit the ball sharply in every at bat of this contest.
This becomes a monster out now. You've got to stop the bleeding, and you better hope that goes foul.
And it does.
Nope. Home run.
Home run.
Wow. It looked like it was going foul,
Yeah,
and it
just
stayed fair.
tucked around the pole at the end.
Bryson Baker clearing them all, and he gets Smash It to 30 runs. A 14-run inning. Brian Wegman now. He draws a walk. Not often do you see Andy Purcell with 8 walks in a game.
No.
And it's not getting any easier having to deal now with Kevin Philby. Base hit back up the middle.
Philby with a drive, Wegman to second. And now number 10, Scott Kirby.
So Wegman to second, Philby at first. And here is Scott Kirby. And he has a base hit. Everything getting through the inning for Smash It Sports Bass, this Resmondo defense.
And now Steve Lloyd.
Kirby at first. And John Rector is going to make a move and bring in a new pitcher for Resmondo.
joining the game in place of Andy Purcell is Dan Sanchez. Sanchez, the new pitcher.
So Sanchez is the new pitcher, and what's the difference for Resmondo having Sanchez now on the mound?
It's a lefty for one. You're going to get a little, Dirty's a pitcher off the West Coast. He definitely has a completely different delivery than Andy, but that really wasn't on Andy. There was a couple of defensive miscues there, but like we saw earlier with the timeout, sometimes you just got to make a change to stop it. And why, what Rector did there is, you notice he didn't go to the mound. He went to Doc to report that he was making a change before he walked across the line, or Andy wouldn't be allowed to come back and pitch, since they'd already called the timeout in the inning. So Andy still can come back in this game and pitch, and I expect that he will.
So Dan Sanchez, a nickname
Dirty.
of Dirty, at the plate, trying to get it out.
And just like why the timeout bug works, why that works, none of us exactly know.
Fly out to Collins, inning over, but what an inning it was for Smash It Sports. 15 runs on the back of 2 home runs, and they lead at 31-18. (31-18), Smash It Sports on top as we check out our combat action analysis here in this contest. It's a good day to be a right-handed hitter here at this complex.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about earlier. It definitely plays different than the wide world of sports complex does, where it's a great day to be a lefty there every time. So it definitely helps, especially with this win today, and Bryson is taking advantage of it. Now, the interesting thing about this, Bernie, unlike, maybe a baseball game where you'd say this is tucked away, it wouldn't shock either one of us if Resmondo comes right back here and runs an 8 or 10 spot right back up on the, on them, and gets right back into this game.
Lee Powers at the plate. Bottom of the 4th of a 7-inning game. 6 runs in the first, 9 runs in the second, 3 runs in the third for Resmondo, and Lee Powers with a line drive base hit to start off the 4th. Yeah, you wonder with Billy Messina, certainly a great veteran, how much gas he has left in the tank.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this. Obviously, is if Smash It holds on here, he's got to go another one.
Here's DeDonatis, the Hall of Famer. He grew up watching this game. He played in the Detroit Tigers organization, and with his father being the CEO of USSSA, as you see a huge play there by Lloyd, laying out.
Kevin Bezot, actually. Kevin slid over in the middle. Kevin Bezot with a great play there.
This is why you put him in the lineup.
Yeah, that's it. That's what he brings you. Now, Junior thinks that's through off his bat. Great play. And that could be the difference of this inning, where we saw a couple of defensive miscues on the home team's half. Here we have a great play to stop what could turn into a potential large rally.
Andrew Collins looking to make a play. No doubt about that one. Long and gone. And Resmondo, their first 2 here in the 4th inning. Has to feel good after the day he's had both in the field and at the plate to finally get one.
Yeah.
Eisenhower.
And this is where the wind's hurting the lefty a little bit. He's still got it.
A solo home run, just the 3rd left-handed hitter in this contest to hit a home run.
Again, we're only at the bottom of the 4th, where they're a good swing away from here to cutting it to a single digit. That's the interesting part of this game, is that it seemed like a big number, but You know, what they're trying to do, they're not trying to take the lead here right now after that big inning. Is just get themselves to 24, 25, go play D again, and then make a run at the number.
Strike called. Both teams with 8 home runs. They both have 8 home runs remaining as Santana gets aboard, just hitting it right back up the middle.
Santana aboard.
And Resmondo back to the top of their lineup. And Hall of Famer Dennis Ruley, who's reached base in all of his plate appearances so far. He reached on an error in the first, singled in the second, and hit a home run his last time up.
Veteran right there.
Finds the gap there.
Like we talk about all the time, everybody wants to talk about home run limits, but it's unlimited. It's always unlimited singles and doubles. So you see a guy. That's why a player like Dennis is so valuable to you. Is that if you're on a stadium or a 300-foot park, wherever you're at, his game doesn't have to change. He's just a hitter is a hitter.
We'll see if the big bat of Greg Cannell can make it a single-digit deficit. Looked like he mishit that one again.
He did.
But it has enough to carry out of the park. Incredible power by Greg Cannell.
He's got, I think, 3 home runs in this game, and I don't know if he's hit a ball square yet.
You just imagine how far he hits it when he does square it up.
Yeah, that's why he's a little bit special.
He looked frustrated at first, but after it went over the glove of Wegman.
And just like that, we're into a single-digit lead again.
Complete different look. Sanchez now batting for Andy Purcell. And he draws a walk.
Sanchez will want to walk. A 6-run inning for Resmondo, and now Jimmy Salas.
Five walks issued by Billy Messina.
Trading on a ball there, it was probably cut.
$2.
Salas walked twice and scored in the first and the second. Flew out his last time up. Rainey, though, snags it, fires it to second for 1, but Salas too quick. Beats the throw at first, and he's aboard on the fielder's choice. And that brings up the home run leader in the conference from a season ago, Bubba Mack. First pitch misses inside. And Bubba Mack squares that one up. There's no doubt about it.
2-run home run by Bubba Mack.
Mack with his second home run of the contest. How about this inning for Resmondo? They batted all the way around.
Great swing, great leverage swing there by Bubba.
BJ Folk doubled and scored his first time up. Flew out in the second and in the third. And this one somehow stays fair. He really laced that one down the line. You see Resmondo with just 6 home runs remaining in this championship game. Is that a good spot to be in with the fact that you're trailing?
Yeah, they have to hit him right now. Again, I mean, the 16, you got to figure if you hit all 16 of yours here, you would think you would typically win. You've come all the way back there. I don't think right now all they can do is just keep hitting. This is obviously a little higher scoring game, but if you really think about it, if Resmondo plays the defense that they typically do, this score looks totally different. You can't have 10 earned run runs and expect to win.
Lee Powers.
Their great offense has kept them in it. Again, this was a strategy I think last time. I mean, that's one of those intentional, unintentional walks I think a little bit there. And last at bat, Dionatis, made him pay for that with a lace, and we'll see what he does here again.
It's been all conference, all 9 years. One of only 5 players that have been given that honor. And as a young child growing up, he dreamed of 2 things: playing for the Detroit Tigers and playing at the major level of slow pitch softball. And here he is today doing just that. But on this particular play, he's going to lift it out to Wegman, who will make the play to retire the side. But Resmondo gets back 8. We played 4. 31-26, smash it on top. Look at the 4th inning. 15 scored by Smash It Sports, 8 scored by Resmondo. And you take a look at the recap. Smash It, 15 runs, 14 hits, 2 home runs. Resmondo, 8 runs, 8 hits, 4 of them were home runs. And welcome to the world of slow pitch softball, where despite the fact that your team that you're rooting for is down double digits, definitely doesn't mean they're out of the ball game.
No, absolutely not. Not with these offenses and the talent of the players that are on here for sure.
Dan Sanchez continues in the game in relief of Andy Purcell. Mike Umscheid begins the 5th inning for Smash It Sports. They need to win 2 to win this Hall of Fame Classic Championship because it's a double elimination tournament. That one hit right back up the middle. And Sanchez can't snag it. And the first batter reaches. That is why they wear the mask.
Yeah.
And he almost caught it.
Yeah, he did. If you ask him, he'd probably tell you he should have. He thought it was going to be up higher, and it actually got down on him.
Next batter, Dale Brumgard. Hits this one a long way, and Andrew Collins, that's been the day for him. He's just come up short on a number of plays where he's tried to make that brilliant defensive grab. That'll go as a 2-run home run. And the 9th of the ball game for Smash It Sports, who leads at 33-26. They have 7 home runs remaining. The bottom of the lineup has been very good for Smash It today.
Outstanding, yeah.
This one line to left. And Dylan is on his way to second. He's in there with a double.
It's actually Ortiz they snuck in on there, Bernie. Ortiz came in defensively for Dylan, who was cramping, so they snuck another lefty in the lineup on you.
So Ortiz into second. He has a double, and the first 3 reach. And Rain has really turned things around after grounding into a double play in his first plate appearance. Single, double, double. And a line drive base hit there out to right field. And Resmondo is yet to record it out here in the 5th inning.
Well, hitting becomes contagious. It's like anything, and obviously once they got on a roll, and a couple of defensive miscues got them on a real big roll, and they've just stayed on it right now.
Kevin Bazat with 4 singles at the bottom of the lineup. First pitch misses, 2-1. 3 balls and 1 strike. And the count is full. This could be 2.
Probably hit too slow.
Greg Cannell tosses it over to Rulli and does get the out, but a run does score to make it 34-26.
One runner on for Billy Messina.
Again, we're back to that Billy Messina big at bat. It seems like he comes up in all these spots here.
He's been able to get the big hit so far. Can he do it again here in the 5th? Launches this one and sends Collins on the run, and it goes over Collins' head. How about the day for Billy Messina? That's his 3rd hit of the contest. We said he was only in for his pitching.
Yeah.
He's swinging like he was back in his 20s.
Yeah, he was. Well, again, I think what he was trying to do is make sure that, hey, I'm going to get up over this thing and there's no chance of a double play ball, and he got up and over everybody.
And so smash it back to the top of the lineup with only an out. And what has Baker done? 4 consecutive home runs. Make it 5 in a row.
Bryson Baker, his 5th home run of the game. This one a 3-run
What
blast.
a day for Bryson Baker after lining out in his first plate appearance.
Brian Whiteman.
Nothing but big swings. And Smash It Sports is inching closer to a potential run rule win, because there is a mercy rule of 15 runs ahead after 5 innings of play. And right now they lead by 11. And with the type of batters that are up, they might put Resmondo down to their final 3 outs in the bottom of the 5th.
That's right.
Philby is the batter. Both teams with 10 home runs here in this championship game. Kevin Philby has just 1. That's kind of a surprise. That went just under the glove of Greg Cannell. And everybody's safe.
Whiteman to second, Philly to first. And now Scott Kirby.
That's the 5th hit of the contest for Kevin Philby. And Sanchez in relief of Andy Purcell. But it hasn't stopped the Smash It offense. If Kirby can get aboard, they will have batted around once again here in the 5th. Base hit for Kirby. And the bases are loaded.
Kirby with a drive. The bases are now loaded for Stephen Lloyd.
We may see Steven, he's shown us his backside little flip swing. I'm going to pick a hole swing. I got a feeling here he may show you his I'm going to swing to punt it on the other side of the fence swing.
15 singles in the contest for Smash It. They've just found the spot in the gap in the defense this entire game. And it said a bases loaded walk.
Lloyd with a walk.
And it's going to make it 38-26.
Now the batter, Mike Umshad.
Smash It Sports looking to win both of these dual championships. They won the first dual, winning over Team Combat. They'll need to win this game and then the if necessary game after. But they're sitting in a pretty good spot. Is Mike Umscheid with a grand slam home run in his second plate appearance of the inning. 42-26.
And that brings that run rule you were talking about now into play, Bertie.
Dale Brumgard watches this one sail to left, and Collins has it. So Resmondo's going to have to bring the deficit under 15 to play the 6th inning. Ortiz is going to bat for the 2nd time this inning as well. He doubled and scored earlier. Into center, Santana.
Nicely done.
A sliding grab that retires the side, but 11 more tacked on by Smash It Sports has Resmondo down potentially to their final 3 outs in the ball game. Bottom of the 5th inning, 42-26. Check out our nationwide on your side moment of the game, and Bryson Baker has certainly been on the side for Smash It Sports. How about this effort? 5 home runs in the game, 13 RBIs, and they all come in his last 5 at bats.
That's amazing in a stadium. I mean, that's I'm not sure I've seen 5 in one game in this stadium in all the years we've been playing here. Like, I don't know if we have that somewhere, but that's.
Overall, he's 8 for 11 on the day with 6 home runs and 15 runs batted in. But he certainly had a lot of pop in this contest. Resmondo needs some runs here in the bottom of the 5th. 15 runs after 5. There is a mercy rule in slow pitch softball for the conference. Collins back into the batter's box. And right now Resmondo finds themselves trailing 42-26. So they're down 16. They need at least 2 runs to play the 6th inning. But you've seen it a number of times where a team, even with this type of a deficit, has come back to even win the contest.
Sure, absolutely. All you're trying to do now is get 8 or 10 here, which is an inning they just had, cut it in half, and you have to get a blank out of Smash It at one point in time, and come back and have the inning here again. So their issue hasn't been their offense. Their issue has been getting the stops. 26 hitting in the 5. If you had offered them that number to start the game, they would have taken it.
Eisenhower going to right, and it hasn't been the day for anyone trying to get a home run out in right field. Collins will move up as out number 1 recorded, and that's the bottom of the lineup, and Nick Santana, who had a sliding grab to end the top of the 5th. Big innings, a storyline today though for Smash It Sports. They've scored double digits in 3 innings in the contest.
Come on, man.
First pitch to Santana misses inside. And now he hits this one the opposite way and into the corner. Brian Wegman tracks it down. And Smash It now 1 out away. Dennis Ruley hits this one well, back deep, and it does get out of the ballpark. And that extends the life for Resmondo. Sometimes you're down to your final out.
That's it right there, the old chip in a chair. I mean, that's what he had to do there. He had to take one swing there to.
And the Hall of Famer comes through with his second home run of the contest. Greg Cannell fouls off the first pitch. 11 home runs hit by Resmondo. They have 5 home runs remaining, 11 for Smash It Sports. And this being a 7-inning contest, that could be a factor. Resmondo's going to need to go on a little bit of a run if they're going to work their way back. That will help. A solo home run for Greg Cannell.
Greg Cannell blast off the light pole. Now Dan Sanchez.
And now Sanchez, who's come in to take the place of Andy Purcell, bats in the 3-hole.
They can get 3 or 4 more here. You know, as crazy as that sounds, if they could cut this down to, and then get that blank they've been searching for, that's been their challenge. With 5 home runs, 4 home runs, they've got a shot here, Bernie.
Sanchez popped up.
That might fall. That might
Long
fall.
run for Dillon and Wegman, and it does hit the turf. And look at the hustle by Sanchez as he slides in safely at second with a double. Hustle, the name of the game, and he hustled the entire way. Definitely never gave up on it. Now here's Jimmy Salas, who's recorded an out in his last 2 plate appearances after walking in his first 2. And he has his first hit of the contest, and it goes as a 2-run home run. It's the 3rd home run of the inning. But now Resmondo is down to their final 3 home runs in this championship.
And Bubba Mack may try to look backside here and play the game a little bit. They got to search for 2-run home runs right now with those last ones. So, and you see Billy start him inside there, trying to figure he may be trying to play the game.
Bubba Mack lifts this one up, back, and it is a solo home run. And now Resmondo with just 2 home runs remaining. And you can see the reaction on his face.
Yeah, he was trying to play the game. That was actually his cut swing. He was trying to cut a line.
So 42-32.
Like that. There's Billy Joe playing the game.
It's a 10-run deficit for Resmondo, and that's the one thing that Smash It has done so much better today. They have 15 singles in the contest. Resmondo only 5 singles. As their manager, John Rector, looks on. BJ Folk gets aboard with a single. Here's Lee Powers.
Yeah. Lee trying to play the game a little bit there. He tried to give him a bat there to extend it.
Miss inside, it's 2-2. Hot shot to third, and they apply the tag at the bag to end the inning. Resmondo tacks on 6 to bring us to the 6th. But it's still a 10-run smash-it lead.
Welcome back to Osceola County Stadium. Well, it was a scary moment during last year's Men's Major World Series where Smash It Sports shortstop Luis Reina collided with left fielder Brian Wegman, resulting in a broken leg for Luis. Now, just 2 days after the collision, he was in surgery. They placed a titanium rod in his leg with 4 screws. He was up and walking without assistance 6 weeks later. He played his first ball in February. His entire team is impressed at how ahead of schedule he is, but later this week he will have the 4 screws removed. Now that's about a 2-week recovery time, but Bernie Smash It will be taking a 3-week break.
Well, certainly a good break for Smash It to have that 3-week break, especially after playing in this Hall of Fame Classic, but most importantly for the conference and for the game, it's great to have Luis Reina back in playing in Nationwide Conference USSSA just because of what he brings to the game as a person, as a player, and he's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a great young talent, and the game needed that. You know, when he came in a couple years ago and established himself, and we've seen that all across the conference right now. All of the infusion of great young talent everywhere, and it's good for the game. It's great for the sponsors. It's great for the for everything that's happening. I got a feeling a whole bunch of teams are going to need 3 weeks off after this.
Yeah, lots of softball this weekend. Over 140 games have been played as this one lifted out into right, and Eisenhower makes the play. Well, you talked about Resmondo needing that quick inning. They still are the home team, and they will bat last in the 7th. This is the spot to do it. They're at the bottom of the Smash It lineup. Reina, Bazat, and Billy Messina.
Base runner.
But so far, the bottom of the lineup has been as productive as you can ask for Smash It.
Absolutely. We see big Brett Helmer coming out to pinch hit for Billy Messina in the next spot, but it's hard to believe. Billy's got, I believe, 3 hits in this game.
How about the day for Kevin Bazat? His 4th hit of the contest. The first 3 were singles, but he's got a double to go along with it. He's in safely at second. He's known what to do with it all day long.
Outstanding swing, outstanding approach. He's basically got the same approach every at bat so far. I'm a little bit surprised they haven't slotted him differently just to see if they can't make him pull the ball, because right now he's locked into that left center.
Here is Brett Helmer. Last year, still hit 60 home runs, and he can hit it just about as far as anyone.
Got one.
And that one turned just at the last moment. Going to be down to his final pitch to see what he can do here in the top of the 6th inning.
Come on, Helmy.
Smash It.
Lock in, let's go.
With 11 home runs in the contest. They still have plenty left to use. Resmondo just 2 home runs remaining. And the 3-2 missed inside, and Helmer draws a walk.
Helmer walks, and now the top of the order for.
And that brings us to the hottest player in this game, Bryson Baker, who lined out in his first plate appearance. And the next 5 that he's hit have left the ballpark. 5 home runs today.
I don't think, like we said, I don't think I've ever seen 5 out of this stadium. I promise you I've never seen 6. So Let's see what he's got left in him.
First pitch is called flat, which equates to a ball. Just did not have enough arc on it.
3 feet from the point of release, even though it looked like it crossed through there, it was basically going downhill the whole way from where Sanchez released it.
Full count. Hit sharply. Ruley goes to Cannell for one and back to first, and they turn the double play. That ends the inning. That's a big out there. It all started with Dennis Ruley. Ruley to Cannell to Mack brings us to the bottom of the 6th. Well, after 3 innings where Smash Hit Sports scored in double figures, Resmondo finally able to hold them to a scoreless 6. So they find themselves trailing by 10. They do have the final swing, and it's the bottom of the lineup starting off here in the 6th inning. DiDonatis hits it. Luis Reina across the diamond, and a nice dig there by Kirby for the first out. He knows how to make the plays, doesn't he?
Outstanding play. He figured he was figured that Junior was going to guess the hole. And think about it, it's a good swing on Junior's part. If he makes him move one more step, he's safe. He was just a little bit quick with it.
Andrew Collins, fair ball down the line. This will be extra bases. Collins is on his way to third. And that's what Resmondo is going to need to do if they're going to work their way back in this game. Coop, you take a look at having just 2 home runs remaining. They're going to need a number of extra base hits like this.
Yeah, the way Junior's got to look at it is his next at bat in this inning is the one that's going to matter for him. If they can get back to him, everything's gone right. So they got 2 mulligans and need to send 11 guys to the plate. That's all they got to do here.
Here's Eisenhower. Takes the first pitch inside for a ball. Three and one. And Eisenhower thought he would walk, but instead checks back into the box. Full count. And he missed that one. Long run for Dillon, and it does fall in front of him.
It's actually all kinds of breaks for them. Scores a run without a homer. It's everything they could hope for, really, there.
Still only 1 out for center fielder, and now pinch hitter Jeremy Yates.
Found the right spot, didn't it?
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. It's a smoked single in the book, right? So we got Jeremy Yates hitting for, again, Nick Santana's spot.
It's at the very bottom of Resmondo's lineup.
You just set of fresh legs off the bench here and see if you can't roll it over with 1 out and still have those 2 home runs.
Resmondo looking to move it back to the top of their lineup. They trail by 9. This one lifted to left, and nice little range there by Brian Wegman as he makes out number 2.
It's a great play. If that ball gets over him, this game could have gotten interesting real quick. To roll to the top with only 1 out, that's a huge play.
And that's what's so incredible about Wegman is he's such a veteran and he's still making big plays out in the outfield. A lot of times these veterans, as they move, their game moves them to first or catcher.
Yeah, and he's played infield at the beginning of his career. The one thing about Brian is, he's still in his early 30s. He just got up at such a young age. But yeah, he's a big-bodied, big man out there, and it'll be interesting to see, where the next 3 to 5 years takes him. Does it take him back to third base or first base? But right now, he's at the top of his game in left field.
Dennis Ferrulli at the plate. And how about the play again by the middle infielder Kevin Bazzatti's laid out for his second brilliant catch. Ends the inning with just a run scored by Resmondo. We head to the 7th, smash it up 9.
Leading things off for Smash It Sports, Brian Whiteman.
It's the final inning of Nationwide Conference USSSA, and Smash It Sports up by 9. 3 gigantic innings. They scored 10 in the second, 15 in the fourth, and tacked on 11 more in the fifth, but they went scoreless in the 6th, and that's the type of effort that Resmondo is going to need defensively if they're going to have an opportunity to come back from down 9 with just 2 home runs remaining. Wegman with his first swing. This one out of the ballpark. And Smash It is back up by 10 runs. That'll bring Kevin Philby to the plate.
That's just a green light swing there. Got home runs left, can't take them with you. Nothing to think about, but how far can you hit it?
Kevin Philby now is the batter.
He's probably thinking the same thing.
Smash It has hit 12 of their 16 home runs that they're allowed, and Philby there draws a walk.
Philby draws a walk. Now number 10, Scott Kirby.
And that'll bring to the plate Scott Kirby. The day started with Andy Purcell as the starting pitcher. Sanchez has come on in relief. And it seems like neither one of the pitchers has done a outstanding job of keeping the Smash It team off balance.
No, I mean, the big thing, though, there's been a couple of defensive miscues from Resmondo on top of that, for sure, though, that's led to it. And sometimes that's what happens. You get a couple of defensive miscues, and it all kind of unravels a little bit. But
so Lloyd coming to the plate.
The 33, like we've talked about, you get that 28 to 35. You figure you're going to win 95% of those games in stadiums. They got to their number. It's been the other side of it that's just really bit them in this game. It doesn't happen to them very often.
Lloyd. Draws a walk. And the bases are loaded with nobody out. And that'll bring Mike Umshide to the plate. It's been a long tournament for these two teams. But the top 2 teams in the conference have really battled today in this championship game. But right now, Smash It looking to force the if necessary game as that one grounded to Salas at third. He goes to second, and Cannell tags the bag. But Philby does come in to score the second run of the inning. And so it will take an 11-run effort by Resmondo if they're going to come back and win this one.
Lloyd retired at second base. And now Dale Brungard, the batter.
See the infield right now, Coop. You'd think in a situation in baseball, typically they'd bring everybody in.
Yeah.
But right now the infield's still playing back, and it's not even going to matter as this one leaves the yard. But what is the strategy behind that?
Yeah, it's just so tough. If you bring it in with the velocity the balls leave at and try to cut it down like you are in baseball, you just don't. And the other issue you have with it is, when you see them cutting it down in baseball, they're basically coming to where these guys are playing all the time. You have to remember, obviously baseball is being played on 90-foot base paths, where even if you come in and cut it down, it's tough to do anything with it.
Dillon at the plate in a 47-33 game. That one just lands foul. Ortiz getting his third at bat in the place of Brandon Dillon.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from KB down there, but it looked like Dillon left with cramps, and he's been running center field for him all weekend long, so wouldn't shock any of us at this point in time. But that's what I think. It's nice to have this young man. First year that he's been with them on the team, they'd grabbed him from another organization during the offseason. He's a good young up-and-coming player, played a lot of different positions.
Well, that's one of the real big differences here in slow pitch softball to if you're used to watching baseball at the major leagues, is you see a line out to Greg Cannell. There just isn't a real deep bench on any of these teams. They only go a handful deep.
Yeah, and a lot of that is budget. I mean, when you're traveling and you're buying tickets and you're doing all that, it's tough to bring 23, 24 people to everything like you will, a 25-man roster in the major leagues. Of course, you don't have pitchers, but so it's definitely, when you get into the duels here, it can be a bit of a grind. And
we just found out from Kristen Bedard that Brandon Dillon has left the game because of cramps. Reyna back up the middle with a 2-out single.
So it'll be interesting to see if Resmondo's unable to come back in the bottom of the seventh there, and you go to an if game, will Dillon be able to come back and play?
Rector looking on.
I think the same thing we saw with Santana pulling up after he had crossed first base too, and Yates would in. The nice thing about that, Yates, a very successful center fielder, been with him for a few years now. And
bottom of the lineup. Kevin Bazat's had a pretty big day at the plate. First two pitches miss, it's 3-1. And the count is full now. This one turning, and it's caught up against the wall by Jeremy Eisenhower. That retires the side, but 5 more added by Smash It Sports. Eisenhower brings us to the final inning. 3 outs remain for Resmondo in the championship. Well, tall task ahead for Resmondo here in the bottom of the 7th. They trail 47-33, and probably the even more pressing thing, Coop, is the fact that they're down to just 2 home runs.
Yeah, they definitely have to chip away. That was such a big play that was made that last inning by Weggs going back on that ball, where all of a sudden you would have had people everywhere, and I think it would have made this game real interesting again. So now it's a grind.
Greg Cannell leads off the inning in a scoop by Kirby, but nobody's covering the bag. Billy Messina slides a couple feet short. Finally goes over and tags the bag. Here's another look. They did this a lot here in the stadium during spring training.
Yeah, fundamentals. The difference with it, most time at spring training, you don't have a 53-year-old pitcher on the mound.
I would say never.
Yeah, I would guess. So
Greg Cannell leads off the inning with a single. Is this what starts the comeback for Resmondo?
Like we've talked about, everybody's got a hit before. Let's just all decide to get one in a row.
Sanchez is the batter. He's taking the place of Andy Purcell pitching. Called strike, it's 2-2. Sanchez taking his time. Could be two. Throw it to Reina, he spins and fires across the diamond back to first, but Sanchez beats it out by a footstep.
Now retired at second base.
Zada's had one heck of a contest defensively.
Yes, he has. It's a nice play all the way around.
And that brings Jimmy Salas to the plate. First pitch missed outside. Base hit to left, and there's two aboard.
He's aboard. 2 runners on for Bubba Mack.
Bubba Mack is the hitter. And
Destroyed.
Mack, a fair ball. Resmondo's down to their final home run, but if you get 3 or 4 on
you got to
home run,
take
you'll
3.
take it.
You got to figure getting 4 is almost going to have to be walked to get the bases loaded, as they're going to let anybody score on a base hit from second. They're going to keep forces alive. So if they can find a way to get 2 3s here, they'll take that.
Last year's home run champion. He's had a big day. They trail by 11 as BJ Falk comes to the plate. Nice play at first by Kirby. He's made it look easy today.
Kirby at
No one makes a
first.
third.
Now the additional hitter, Lee Powers.
Lee Powers at the plate. Lee Powers, 2 for 3. Grounded down the line. It's a fair ball.
That's crafty.
Powers with a blast over the left field base. Now the batter down.
And here's DeDonatis now as we take another look.
Again, just trying to chop it down there, knowing he can't hit a solo now. Gets the line. That's crafty.
Well, they're going to have to do it all with 2 outs. Make up 11 runs.
I'm sure it's been done somewhere.
DeDonatis finds the spot. And Powers will move over to third.
DeDonatis with a drive to center field. Now runners on the corners. For center fielder Andrew Collins.
And now here's Andrew Collins. I'm sure in the back of his mind thinking about the error earlier that helped Smash It get 7 of these runs. 3 scored on the play and then 4 more after the error was made. But he certainly tried to make up for that with his effort out on the outfield today. working on every play, and here he's going to float this one into left for a base hit that'll score Powers.
Again, he wasn't trying to do that, but you'll sure take it when you're counting down to your last home run.
2 runners on for right fielder Jeremy Eisenhower.
Resmondo with 15 home runs in this game. Smash It still has 3 home runs remaining. But again, not a bad spot to take one, I would assume, if they can. It's the bottom of the lineup for Resmondo. Get the feeling that if they can get back to the top, they might have a chance because of those big bats at the top of the lineup. But again, the biggest issue for Resmondo is a lot of these hitters at the top, they have the power to hit home runs.
Yeah, no, that's right. Billy just misses with 2 pitches to Izzy.
Base hit for Eisenhower. And the bases are loaded for Yates. So bases loaded opportunity. Resmondo down to their final home run. Popped up, and that does it. Wegman hauls it in, and Smash It Sports forces the if game with a 47-37 win over Resmondo.
Wow. So I can tell you, that's an amazing number to hang up in this stadium, but I think it was aided a little bit by some questionable defense, and even though they were only charged with 2 outs, I think there was a couple of other balls there. If you ask them, they've got to make that play on it, and leads us into an if game.
Well, the if game coming up next on CBS Sports Network. Final score on this one, 47-37. For Don Cooper and Chris Bedard, Bernie Gunther saying so long from Osceola County Stadium.